What's happening YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about an interesting investment product that we don't talk about too much on the DeRosa Group's channel or on YouTube, but it's an interesting product that a lot of people do really well with, and that is called a turnkey rental. Okay, and we talk about apartment buildings and fix and flips. We don't really do many turnkeys, so we don't really get a chance to talk about. But I brought in some folks to talk to us about what turnkeys are, so we can discuss it. Cool. All right. So we got Farhan and Shamil with Apex Capital Group. Okay, and they're going to talk to us about turnkeys. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
So tell in like a nutshell, what's a turnkey?
You want to take that question?
Yeah, absolutely. It's done for you real estate investment. So instead of being a landlord, you're purely a passive investor collecting residual income, what we call mailbox money in this business.
That's
right.
good.
So the epiphany that we had a couple of years back is you're buying a property, assigning it, and wholesaling it off to rehabbers, and we figured that's such a small part of the buyer's pool. So who else wants real estate? And that's every other high net worth individual or somebody that's got some money that they want to invest, and they're thinking, should I go stock market, mutual funds, commodities, crypto, or real estate?
Right.
And so we work with a lot of working professionals that don't have the time, but they do have the means, the financial resources that they want to invest. And we let them know, look, real estate is a tried and proven vehicle. 71% of $1 million tax returns. In the last 50 years, this is the IRS saying this, came from real estate and real estate related activity. So we know it's the right place to go into.
Yep.
And now here's an avenue for you to get into it. So what normally happens, Matt, is that somebody that has some capital to invest will sit down with their favorite local real estate agent at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, and they'll say, look, I've got some money to invest and I want to park it in real estate, show me some properties, and they'll probably find them something on the MLS, because that's all that agents have access to for the most part.
Yep.
And once the closing happens, they're out of the picture. If they got them a good deal, probably got to fix that house up. So now you have to manage a general contractor and work with them and hope they don't steal your money and that your property actually gets done.
Yep.
And then once they're out of the picture, you get the certificate of occupancy. Now you got to lease the property. So you go back to that agent that sold you the property and say, hey, do you do leasing? And usually they don't, because it's not worth their while, but maybe somebody in their office does. And now you got to deal with a tenant once the tenant comes in. And if the tenant doesn't pay on time, you got to send notices, or if you have to go to eviction court and do a stipulation agreement.
This is all maybe holding down their day job while this person is investing. Right.
Yeah,
While
you're thinking about this while you're doing surgery or whatever the case is.
Yeah, whatever it is they're doing. Yeah.
So what we said is, be an investor, not a landlord. And that speaks to the idea of almost investing like you're investing in a stock, right, or a mutual fund, where you buy the property, it's in your name, it's in your, the deed is in your name, you own it, we just simply help you manage it. So we find the property for you through all of our various methods of acquiring properties. We do the due diligence. So many properties don't make it through our filter criteria after the due diligence, but the ones that do, you can rest assured with 26 years of collective experience, those are good deals.
Yeah.
And then we present that to you to, potentially.
Right. So that's what turnkey is.
That's turnkey.
You're taking a lot of the investor gets to take out a lot of the headache that it is, and they're paying a premium, right? So maybe that realtor could send them something on the MLS that's going to be a cheaper price, but there is a dollar value in the headache that you got to do to deal with the contractor, take the risk that the contractor is going to steal from you, run the risk of property sitting vacant while you find a tenant and everything like that.
You can lose your money, you can lose your sanity.
Right.
So
there's a premium that you pay in turnkeys, which, as I've seen, being a full-time active investor, maybe like the turnkey price is more than what I would pay. But if it's a passive investor that literally wants to just park their money and not be active in the space, it's a great investment vehicle.
So it's interesting you say that, because we actually have two types of product, and we're unique in that sense. Is one of the products that we sell is a pre-renovation property, right? So this is not 100% turnkey. It's not renovated or tenanted yet.
Okay.
It's going to take 4 to 5 months for us to get to that point and get stabilization and income coming in, but you get upside. So we're going into markets that are appreciating, and we're selling it to you at a price where there's still meat on the bone, so that once the renovations are done, the value goes up. and then
That's
you start
interesting.
cash flowing on it.
And
right?
the active investor can go and pluck some of that hair off and get the property finished and get it
And
done.
well, we do that all. So we have an in-house construction company. So we're going to fix it up for you.
Oh.
And then, you know, with our partnership with Slate House Group, they will lease it and manage,
manage
it for
it.
you. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Great.
a lot of our investors are, we kind of created this phenomenon where they're actually not looking to hold on to that turnkey. They're actually doing the deal as a flip. So we will buy it. They'll get a little bit of equity there, fix it up, put a tenant in there, and then they're going to be looking to sell it to to another investor who's getting financing on the property. So that particular investor doesn't have about 120, 130, 150 to buy the property cash like our first investor does, but they do want to finance it, leverage it, and make a double-digit return on it. So those investors are just recycling the money. They're buying 2 or 3
That's
properties
really
at a time.
Yeah.
They're getting tenanted, they're getting stabilized, and the great thing that we like about it is, unlike a rehab where you can only put a person that's going to live in the house, an owner-occupied property, and we're still doing those kinds of deals in Central Jersey, like areas like Fanwood, Somerset, things like that. But you have holding costs there, right? So if that property's not moving for 5-6 months, whatever the reason is, that investor kind of feels that, right? Because they're losing money, holding costs are increasing, and the ROI is eroding. In this case, they're sitting pretty because even if the buyer is dragging their feet, their loan is taking longer than it's supposed to, every single month they're netting money because the rent's coming in.
Yep. I think that's great. And I think that I've talked to investors about looking at the turnkey model and being a producer of turnkeys or participating in the turnkey process as, you know, we look at maybe a market shift or whatever it is, or at least like hedging your bets for a market shift. That if you want to produce chunks of cash through what would typically be a fix and flip, but you're in a market where you're not sure if you want to take that risk of things, you know, correcting, right? Then I think the turnkey model is a great place to go to flip, because you can go and buy a rental property, fix it up, and resell it as a flip. You know, you don't have to be selling a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath out in the burbs with tiled shower stalls and things like that to be doing a flip. You could be buying a duplex that's beat up, renovating it, and selling it off to an investor as a renovation, as a fix and flip.
Or somebody that wants to do, real estate hacking. So that could be.
To live in a unit, right?
Live in a unit, rent the other unit, subsidize the mortgage.
So for those that are watching, and given these are, you know, all across the U.S. and all across the world, people are watching this right now, and they want to select a turnkey provider. Given like they've chosen the market they want to be in, how do they select the right turnkey provider for themselves?
Well, you want to look at track record, right? And it's about the team. So whatever market that you go to, and we're in 3 markets right now. We want to build to about 5 to 7 markets to provide geographic diversification for our investors, because there's a saying, real estate is local. So if something happens in a market, at least you're hedged with other properties in other markets. So right now we're in Toledo, Ohio, Baltimore, Maryland, and select cities in New Jersey where rental properties make sense. And we're looking at going into Lehigh Valley and other places. But the best thing to do is understand that, look, it doesn't matter what city you're in the United States, it's going to be the same toilet, it's going to be the same windows, it's going to be the same roofs, the same windows. All those things are going to be the same. It's the human beings that are behind the operation that are managing it for you. So what's the team that is, it's the same as like a Dunkin' Donuts. You know, one person can run it into the ground and another person can make it wildly successful. So it's the people that are behind it. What's their track record? You could read about us, you know, our profiles. We've been in the game collectively 26 years, 11 for myself, 15 for my brother.
So research the operators.
The operators, you know, what's their background, talk to their references.
What about asking, so I'm looking at 123 Main Street that a turnkey provider is looking to sell me, right? Which, I mean, and let's say I live across the country. So that turnkey investors, and I'm sure you have investors that invest that are not local, right? So if I'm investing in something that I might not be able to put boots on the ground to actually walk, to go and look at, right? What are some due diligence items that I can do as an investor that's remote to make sure I'm getting myself?
That's a great question. One of the things that
right?
we do is we try to do as much homework for the investor as possible. So, for example, out of the 85 or so properties that we sold in Toledo, Ohio last year, not a single investor actually physically with their own eyes saw that property. So what do? We create a master spreadsheet that we share with all of our investors. It's apexhotsheet.com. So it's actually a website. There's a video walkthrough of the property. And I, as the owner of the company, because my name is on the wall and my reputation is on the wall, go there physically with my Android phone and record the interior and the exterior of the property, narrating to you about the roof, the mechanicals, all of that, right? And giving my take on the property. That you should sideline about 3,500 because there's some repairs that need to be done, or this property is fully turnkey and you can start cash flowing from day one and so on and so forth.
That's great.
So we do all of that homework for the investor as much as possible. We seek the lease. You ask somebody for a T12, T6 in mom and pop investing, single family resident, they usually don't have that available.
No.
But we will ask for deposits and proof of deposits. We want to see the behavior pattern of the tenant and how do they deposit. So that when we sell the property to an investor, and we understand, every time we do that, we're creating a relationship. We want this person to open up their friends and family to us, and so that we can sell more properties.
Right.
We have a vested interest, you could say a capitalistic interest in this. So we want to do right by our investors. So that's the idea.
Should they be asking for like your scope, not but just the turnkey
and
providers? Yeah, I mean again, keep it like like global for any turnkey provider out there and everything like that. If they're looking at a specific turnkey, should they be asking for the renovation scope of work,
for sure.
copies of building permits?
Absolutely.
I mean, just like I want to make sure that you didn't just
So all that due diligence has to be done up front. We try to provide as much of that as possible. So obviously the pictures and all that tell a good portion of the story. Title work will tell the other half of the story. If you want to do a home inspection on the property, you're more than.
We usually do that and provide that. We do an oil tank sweep. We do the Oprah, open permits, the Record Act.
Yeah.
And we say, here it is, and these are all the things that we're going to tour during the renovation.
And you allow
process.
home inspection.
We provide ours, and then if they want to do their own, they're more than welcome to do that.
What do you think about turnkey provider? Now, I get this is sometimes, there is a premium for turnkeys, right? So sometimes an appraisal can get in the way of the price the property needs to sell for to get the profit of the turnkey provider that they want to get for their time and effort they're putting in and everything like that. So I've heard of some turnkey providers that are out there in the country not allowing their buyers to get appraisals or to get bank financing on the property.
Right.
Is that something? I mean, what do you guys?
We
I'm
don't
not
like that
judging one or
model
the
at
other.
all. We don't like that model. We want the property to at least appraise for the price.
That's great.
So in that neighborhood, if that's the going price, if you sell them a property with negative equity, right, and somebody wants to sell that property
Meaning
down
like
the road,
it's worth this on the appraisal, but I'm selling it to you
for this amount, right? And let's say they have a couple of vacancies or just a couple of bad strings of tenants or something happens. Now what does the person want to do? They want to offload the property.
That's great.
Now, what are you telling me? So you lost money on the rental income, and now you got to lose money on the sale as well. That's a double whammy.
Yeah,
that guy's never going to come back to you.
Right.
So we want to see, as much as possible, predict the appraisal value or get an appraisal done and sell the property accordingly.
So guys, just to sum it up, we talked about what turnkeys are. They're great hands-off and maybe even an investment for those of you that are hands-on that believe in a certain market you want to get yourself into. Do due diligence on the owners of the turnkey company. Do due diligence on the renovations that they did. So, building permit, scope of work, and obviously red flag if they're like, oh, we don't have any of that stuff or whatever it is,
Right.
And turnkey providers that won't let you get an appraisal or tell you got to buy all cash, you can't get bank financing on the property. Enormous red flag too, right?
Huge.
Yeah, cool. So if they want to hear more about what you guys are up to, you guys are up to some really big stuff. How do they get in touch with you guys?
So the website is investwithapex.com. If they're interested in talking to one of our consultants and they want to learn more about the properties that we have, you can email them at apexsales@investwithapex.com. The hot sheet that Jamal mentioned, which is apexhotsheet.com. And if you're a wholesaler out there and you're looking to sell us some deals, we do have an acquisition guy, and you can email him at ATM, that's Apple Thomas Mary, at investwithapex.com.
Cool.
And if you're a phone call or a text type of a person, 732-455-2220. Send a text there, and we'll set up a
That's
one-on-one
hardcore.
consultation.
Put your cell phone number out there, right, guys? Cool.
It goes to one of our team members, and
you
set up
go.
a one-on-one consultation.
Cool. That's turnkey investing, guys. That's it in a nutshell. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for your time today.
Matt, thanks for having us.
Have a great, profitable week.